In today's lesson, we want to discuss objectives in more detail and help you to recognize the difference between poorly written and well-written objectives. First of all, when thinking of an objective for a lesson plan, you need to think of something that can be accomplished within a single lesson. A lesson plan may occur over a few days, but often is confined to a single time spent within a class. Thus, when you write an objective, think in terms of the amount of time you have and what can be legitimately accomplished within that amount of time. Don't confuse this with your overall target goal, which may be greater, and which may be reflected in your final product. Now, let's discuss what an objective is not. Many new teachers confuse an objective with an activity. An activity may be a way in which to achieve an objective, but an activity itself cannot and should not be considered the same as an objective. This is because an objective represents the ends of instruction, the results, not the instruction itself. An objective should clearly specify what the results of the activity should be, not simply share what the activities are. Consider the difference between these two attempts at writing objectives. Students will listen to a song about colors of the rainbow. Students, when shown a rainbow, will correctly label all the colors. Notice that the first sentence sounds like a great activity to help students learn about the colors of the rainbow, but it isn't really an objective at all. The second is an objective. Notice that it has something demonstrable, something students can do, which leads me to my first tip about objectives. When you write an objective, think about what the students will do after activities to demonstrate that learning has occurred. Now let's discuss another problem with writing objectives. Even when teachers realize that objectives are different from the activities in the class, some teachers still struggle getting the wording right. In particular, teachers often write vague objectives. This might be because teachers haven't thought through how they want to assess their students. Or perhaps teachers only have a vague idea themselves of what they want students to know. Regardless, teachers often use words like know, believe, feel, and understand, which are states of the mind or heart and impossible to observe. Action words such as identify, state, demonstrate, and create are preferred when writing objectives. Consider these two examples. Students will know about vocabulary in English related to family, mother, father, etc. Students will demonstrate their knowledge of family vocabulary, mother, father, etc., by writing a paragraph that correctly distinguishes relationships in their own families. Notice that the second objective is simply more specific, clearer, and is something a teacher could observe and assess. Thus, my second tip for writing objectives is this. Make your objectives observable and measurable. What I mean is that an objective that only describes a process inside a learner's head is impossible to prove. Learning may have occurred, but there is no way you will be able to ascertain, as a teacher, how well students have achieved that learning. Thus, objectives should have a clear path for teachers to assess what learning has occurred.